Well, hello, good afternoon, happy Saturday. Welcome along to Matchday Live here on Fox's Hub ahead of Leicester City's trip to the capital. Yet again, another away day down in London at the start of this season. Today it's Arsenal who are the hosts for Leicester. I'm Dan Bates. We've got Matt Elliott and Steve Walsh, two proper Leicester legends on the sofa. Stalwarts is that the word you're going for? Yeah, two proper legends. Great to have you both along. Walshy, firstly, how are you getting on?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Yeah, it's good to be here again. Obviously, you know, they don't come much bigger than this, do they? So looking forward to the game. Brings back a lot of memories. Arsenal, of course. We're just talking to Matt. You know, I scored in a game when he wasn't here in the Rumbelows Cup, which was the League Cup in them days, and equalised. And I remember a cracking goal at Filbert Street, a bit similar to the other one that I scored. But yeah, it was always terrific games, and you know, obviously the circumstances have changed this season with Leicester. So like I say, I've seen the majority of the games so far, and we're doing okay. We can do better. Difficult task today. And we'll see how and how things entail.
Mm-hmm. Didn't take him long, did it, to mention his goals and stuff? Why not? Well, because goals against Arsenal are a rarity
well, it's just,
as well.
You know, it is memories, and that's what I recall. It was.
Yeah, no, exactly. Sure, you definitely got them.
Yeah,
maybe.
Don't worry, I was going to pipe up.
You scored, yeah.
Although I'm a little bit low because after I scored against Arsenal, something. Horrible.
Well, maybe
horrible happened.
Maybe we'll
There's
get to that.
About it, yeah.
Maybe we'll get to that a little bit later.
Never mind us. It's about current situation, and what a big challenge Leicester face, don't they? Quite frankly, I mean, at the back end of last weekend, you know, I'm not putting a spin on it, but looking at it from different ways, and you know, I mentioned about 3 points in 5 games. Okay, if you turn that into 6 points in 6 games, it's if you average that out over the course of a season, that's probably enough for Leicester to stay in this division. Only problem is that 6th game is today against Arsenal away at the Emirates, and all the challenges that brings. But sure, Steve Cooper will have his men prepared as well as possible.
Yes, we've got plenty coming up, including those goals against Arsenal throughout Matchday Live as we build up to kick-off down in North London. We'll take a look back what happened in midweek, of course. Leicester through to the 4th round of the Carabao Cup. We also know who the Foxes have drawn as well, so a little bit more on that later on. We'll hear from Conor Coady. He spoke after that Walsall game, looking ahead to this clash with Arsenal. And there you go.
There it is.
Oh,
the
there
first
we go.
time,
yeah,
not the only time today.
Beauty.
We'll see that header against Arsenal. Actually, before we get into team news, anything like that, you actually had a bit of a rivalry kind of brewed, didn't it, at that stage of your careers?
Me and Walshy?
Yeah, well, that too. That's continued. But no, Arsenal and Leicester in
I suppose we
years.
did really. It was a bit of a love-hate kind of thing, but it was always, you know, very tense games, and I think the fact that Leicester City were standing up against Arsenal and starting to, you know, put them on the back foot and get amongst them, you know, and stay in games where, you know, we snatched something obviously in the last minute, and you know, I'll still never forget, you know, that was probably the best moment of my career in Leicester shirt, really, apart from the derby, lifting the cup and scoring those 2 goals. But it erupted Filbert Street, and that's why I said the memories. These are special memories, and you know, Matt, the atmosphere at Filbert Street, what the fans created was unreal. It really was. And like I say, we were competing against big clubs, and Arsenal were right up there, because in my career I never really got a point. I can't remember against Arsenal in the league, you know, with me playing in it before obviously Matt and Martin O'Neill came. I had nothing. I didn't play in too many games, by the way, but Arsenal was a tough one, always at Highbury. I don't think I ever got a point there, and I was on the back of a 6-1 mauling at some stage as well. I remember, I think you played in that. I think you played in that as well.
Oh, we got a few chases.
I think it was 5-0 at half time, if I remember, or 4-0.
But that's what I was going to say. That I don't quite know. I don't think Arsenal will quite see that edge or stroke rivalry there, like perhaps Leicester supporters do. But it was off the back of that game, I think, really, because it irked them, didn't it? And
yeah, it did, and they didn't like it because
they were cruising 2-0. I mean, I was in dreamland playing against Arsenal. That team, I prefer to play against Man U, and Man U won the treble around that era, didn't they? Arsenal was such a difficult proposition. And in that game, I scored to get the equaliser. And I think I remained in dreamland when Bergkamp started twisting me up. But it was an incredible night, and still gets well remembered.
They were very intimidating, the Arsenal, very in your face all the time. They'd be saying things, there'd be, nastiness, pure nastiness. And I think that grew that, right, come on, we can do this. We can get amongst you. We can
be nasty.
We can be nasty, and we can be nasty even more.
I think it's like, you talk about the rivalry, whatever, edge. I think it's continued from that a little bit, but it's more over recent times, isn't it? Arsenal, when Leicester won the Premier League, Arsenal beat them. They beat them twice, didn't they? And they considered themselves at Christmas, wasn't it, or in around that period, photos in the dressing room as if they were going to hunt Leicester down. Didn't turn out to be the case. Leicester have done okay against Arsenal over recent times, haven't they? Certainly better than we did.
Yeah. Well, let's see the present day Leicester City side then that are facing Arsenal this afternoon. Obviously changes, of course, from that game in midweek and also indeed from the Everton game a week ago, of course, in the Premier League. This is how Steve Cooper sets his Leicester team out today. It's Mads Hermansen in goal, Christiansen, Fass, Akoli and Justin across the back four. Winks and Skip returning in midfield with Ndidi just behind. Buonanotte starts on that right-hand side with Steffi Mavididi, of course, 2 goals in his last 2 on the left with that man Jamie Vardy, who has a great record against the Gunners, leading the line. On the bench, it's a nice, strong-looking bench indeed. It's Danny Ward in goal, Conor Coady, Fatawu, El Kanous, Dakodova-Reid, Chowdhury, Ayew, Ricardo and Odsonne Edouard. So plenty options for Steve Cooper to tinker from the bench should he have to. Speaking of tinkering, let's take a look at the Arsenal side. Then they're without, of course, Martin Ødegaard, their captain. David Raya was a big doubt for this game in goal. Mikel Arteta was quite coy in his press conference yesterday whether or not Raya would play. Indeed he has. So it's Raya in goal, Calafiori left back, Gabriel and Saliba the 2 central defenders with Timber at right back. The midfield 3 are Partey, Rice and Trossard, with Martinelli and Saka supporting Kai Havertz. Whether it's Trossard or Havertz in that striking position, we will find out, of course, when the players kick off. Right, Leicester's team then, Matt. We'll come to you firstly, and we can pop it back on the screen for you. It's the 3 sort of midfielders we probably expected, actually. Yeah. Ndidi, Winks and Skip. It was the case against Palace a couple of weeks ago, of course, in the Premier League, away from home. You can see why he has done that today, away at Arsenal, title-chasing Arsenal.
Yeah, at this moment in time, it seems as though Steve Cooper has got that sort of slightly different mindset between home and away. As you said, and it worked pretty effectively, didn't it? Wilfred Ndidi, creator of 2 goals, 2 assists to his name at Crystal Palace. And it did work well. Skip, I thought, was outstanding, and then didn't play against Everton, which, I don't know, some people will question. It surprised me, but I suppose a different tact here at the King Power, and someone had to miss out, and Skip was the unlucky man, but not long before, not surprised to see that he's back in the team. Pretty sharpish. But I think most people's eyebrows will be raised by Buonanotte on the right-hand side. Some people will be thinking Fatawu, who was coming into the game a bit more in the last 25 minutes or so in the week, but didn't overly impress generally. But I think Buonanotte there, I think when Leicester are going forward on the left-hand side, Buonanotte will tuck in and it will almost create another player, and he'll be looking for James Justin, certainly on occasions, to burst forward and create a bit of width in that respect, and Leicester sort of defending in possession with a back 3. But that's all theoretical, whether it turns out that way. There's another kettle of fish. And then Buonanotte, whose natural game is not, he's willing, but his natural game is not to chase back and work back like Fatawu does. So it'd be interesting to see how he copes with that aspect of things. But I can see the reasoning for Steve Cooper why he's made a couple of changes he has.
Yeah, I agree with you, Matt. I think Mavididi and Buonanotte, I think you're dead right. I think that is key areas today, how they handle this, because Arsenal are going to have a lot of possession. they're playing Havertz again up front, which if they could have one more player, it's a number 9 and centre forward, isn't it? Arsenal, everyone knows that, but the likes of Martinelli, and I was watching the Gabriel, the setup on set pieces at Man City. Man City had Doku marking Gabriel, I think.
Yeah.
Did you see that? Incredible. And
I'm
thinking to myself, and then Walker. So they changed it because he was getting a bit of joy and a bit dangerous. I don't know why they don't go like for like, and it's just madness. And I don't understand whoever set pieces coach should pick up and see that. But we'll have to be very careful today that who the marking is. You can see the danger areas, but we're going to have to be in good shape, which I think Steve Cooper, since he's arrived, I think that we have been a little bit more defensively, but we've had to be because of the Premier League and how the quality of the players that are playing this league, because otherwise you're going to be leaking goals all over the place. And it started last season with Enzo when we were going out all out attack, all gun ho. Okay, it worked very well, but it doesn't work in this league, and that's the area. That's why I guess a lot of fans have been saying Fatu and Mavididi, why aren't they playing every week? But you've got to have the right balance, and you've got to know the players, and if they're going to do that work of when we've not got the ball, and that's probably the reason why. And yet, we look at the midfield, Skip, Winks, and Didi in that more forward position. I'm not too sure about that, to be honest with you. I think against Everton, and Didi had a poor game, to be honest with you. But still, like I say, it'll be set up today to go into a 5-4-1 when we have to. And we might have to let Arsenal have a lot of the ball, which they always do. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, from a striking point of view, though, Jamie Vardy, of course, with goals to his name already in the Premier League this season, Matt. Only 2 players in Premier League history have more goals against the traditional Big Six. Yeah. That's Shearer and Rooney. He's got 44. Jamie Vardy. Hopefully he can make it 45, even 46 today would be great. And you wouldn't put it past him. He's got a fantastic record against the Gunners as well. So
I was just going to say that. I didn't know if you had the actual stats on that, but from memory, and I remember it being mentioned that his success rate, his goal rate against Arsenal was right up there, and he's a real thorn in their side. They won't be taking him lightly, whatever age he is or not. And the Arsenal players, okay, there's a turnover, but they'll still be aware, as will Arteta, that the threat that Vardy alone possesses, because of his cleverness of runs, etc., his goal threat. But it's finding that, she mentions it there, it's finding that balance for Steve Cooper. You don't want to leave yourself open, of course you don't. Leicester were guilty of that a couple of seasons ago. They tried to match Arsenal up a little bit, and they were literally 3 for 3 at the back. It wasn't a back 5, it was 3 against 3, and they were so spread. There were gaps and holes everywhere. And they got torn to shreds early on in the first half, despite scoring a penalty, I think Leicester did. But, you don't want a repeat of that where the game's over pretty much by half-time. Leicester hang in there. They've shown that this season. It's been borderline a few times. Tottenham could have gone a different way. Fulham could have gone a different way. But the other games, really, Leicester have been genuinely in it from start to finish. Even, I suppose, Everton was poor in the first half. But they've come back in strong. The longer they hang in there, the more you fancy them to nick a result. And that's got to be the case today. That probably the best way that Steve Cooper can go forward with the group.
Yep. In the week, of course, though, it was League Cup action. So there was a night off for that man that we've just been talking about, Jamie Vardy. The rest of the squad, though, of course, travelled to Walsall in the third round of the Carabao Cup.
There's the set pieces, which relatively successful to a degree.
Here goes Barrett, back to low in the box. His cross is good. What a chance! What a save from Ward! Charlie Lakin denied from point blank range. In goes the cross, headed away by Coady, and Leicester had to defend there. That was a big save from Danny Ward.
Let fly, but
Fatahu's ball in. The header goal is just wide from Buonanotte, who says there was a deflection. When that was looping in the air, you wonder whether it was going to nestle in the top corner. Leicester going close. It's the best they have created in the opening half of this first half, but it remains 0-0. Thinks here's Fatahu though. again up against the full-back. That's a good ball in, the header goal was by Buonanotte into the floor and saved by Simkin. That was a good chance for Leicester, and if that was further to the goalkeeper's right, it might have nestled in. Lovely work from Fatawu, cute header, but still no breakthrough. Right-footed, he takes a couple of steps, Ricardo, and he strikes it true into the back of the net. Leicester City lead in the shootout, or at least score their first penalty to put themselves 1-0 up. Walsall's first. Here goes Allen. Oh, brilliant save to his right-hand side from Danny Ward. Big right hand, and Leicester lead in the shootout. Pushes out his cheeks twice. Goalkeeper's dancing around on his line. Coady strikes, sends the keeper the wrong way. Brilliant penalty. Leicester have scored both of theirs. They're 2-0 up. He misses, Leicester are in command. Okabu, oh, saved again by Ward. He went the same way, and that is another marvellous stop. And Danny Ward is turning into Leicester City's hero tonight. Oliver Skipp next up. Here he goes, right-footed. Oh, he scored. Squeezes it home. Simkin guessed the right way, but it was too accurate and too powerful for Oliver Skipp, and Leicester go 3-0 up. Liam Gordon has to score for Walsall, left-footed. Ward saved again, would you believe it? Down to his right-hand side. Danny Ward has saved 3 penalties, and Leicester are through to the round of 16. One of the quickest penalty shootouts you'll see, thanks to the brilliance of Leicester City's Welsh goalkeeper. He takes all of the plaudits tonight.
There we go, Leicester City through to the next round of the Carabao Cup, where they'll be greeted, of course, by Manchester United. Danny Ward, though, very much the hero, wasn't he, Matt, there in the penalty shootout? 2 of the 3 saves were very, very good. The third one, I think you said, was it you on commentary that said he could have dived one way, stood back up, and then dived the other way?
I didn't say that, but yeah, it's true, yeah. But
that's a great save, that first one.
Listen, the penalty shootout was pretty short, and so was the highlights reel, wasn't it, over the game as a whole. But yeah, focus on the positives, and I mean those first 2 saves, that one and this. I mean, as a penalty taker, if Danny Ward goes the right way, and you don't put it high in the top corner, you pretty much can't score. Like he just sort of, I'm going to come out with a good word here, elongates himself, doesn't he? He just stretches himself, doesn't he? And I guess he goes not early, but he goes as early as possible and makes the decision. Intimidating.
Do you think he's actually guessed that?
No, he said in his personal interview that they'd
info, didn't they?
Yeah, they'd spent about 45 minutes to an hour the day before looking at the potential penalty takers for Walsall. So he had an idea of which way they were probably going.
Yeah,
probably going. You never quite know, but you hedge your bets. You go on the percentages, don't you? More often than not. But I suppose in his own mind, it's a good way of doing it. Because you go, I'm going this way. I'm going to go as early as I can. Stretch myself as long as possible, make it difficult, and he certainly did that, didn't he?
Yeah.
All in a casual style as well.
Yeah, exactly. He's a good guy, Danny Ward.
We are through, Batesy. That's the main thing. You know, at the end of the day, what a draw it is. Incredible. Yeah. So. And
you never know. Do you even win that one? Then it's the quarterfinals, and anything can happen at this stage.
Well, it can. Yeah, absolutely. And like I say, a lot of these bigger clubs are going to tend to play a weakened team really in these games as well, but we're in the next round, and that was the objective. Of course, it wasn't great how we played, but everyone knows that. But there's it's early days in this season still. 5-6 games into it, and so hopefully we can get stronger, and we'll see what happens.
Let's hear now then from Conor Coady. He spoke after the penalty shootout victory over at Walsall after that game on Tuesday evening.
Yeah, of course. The goal was to get through. The goal was to be in the hat for the next round, and we're there, and we needed to make sure we got there by any means possible. But listen, they're always tough games. They're tough games. I don't think we was at our best. I think everyone can see that. I think there's a lot we need to improve on, and we will improve on, because we've got a dressing room who demands improvements. And listen, we can play better. We can move the ball better. But the big part for us was getting into the hat for the next round, and we've done it. And listen, we've come in on a tough night, pitch cut up, all them different bits and bobs, but we can be better. We know that, and we've spoke about it in there, and we'll make sure we get better, because that's what we demand of each other.
Took your penalty very nicely. Must have been a nice moment.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, I've just said to Johnny that I don't mind taking pens. It's not something that kind of affects me too much. I've scored a few, I've missed a couple. It's roll the dice. I said to the boys literally just before we went up for them, just pick your way and stick to it. Whatever happens will happen. Don't worry too much about it. And listen, the boys were fantastic on board. He was outstanding, weren't he? And I know from a few years ago he knocked Wolves out when I was playing in the game. But I say he knocked Wolves out, but he saved the load that game as well. So we knew how good he was, and we have full confidence in him. But the pens were brilliant as well from the boys.
From a League Two stadium here to the Emirates on Saturday, they don't get much tougher, those games this season, than Arsenal away, do they? No, and we've got to refocus very, very quickly. We've got to make sure we're ready. We've got to make sure we're alert, because we know how good they can be. We've seen it on numerous occasions now in the Premier League. And listen, like I said, the big part for us tonight is learning from it, is improving from it. I think if we're improving, we'll demand from each other, and we'll take what we need to take out of this game. But we understand the task ahead of us on Saturday, and we'll make sure we're ready for it. Is it difficult as a player if on a Tuesday you probably dominate the ball, and then potentially, I guess, at Arsenal away you might have less of the ball to kind of adapt to those different ways of playing? No, I think that's something we've spoke about in the summer in terms of how we're going to build to go forward. Last year we played a lot of football with the ball and we understood it, and we knew there was going to be a shift a little bit this season. And as professionals, we've got to take that on board. Like I said, we've got to demand from each other. It doesn't matter where we're going to a tough team, but what we're going to do, roll over and have our bellies tickled, or we're going to go there with our heads held high and say, right, let's have a go here. So we've got to be ready for everything that's going to come. Understand that Arsenal have a lot of the ball, and find ways of hurting them on the counter-attack and having the ball ourselves. In terms of the defenders, I guess you are one of those with the most Premier League experience there. Between now and Saturday, is it something that you pass on, that experience, pass on advice to those at Seagrave? Without a doubt. I try and do that every day, whether that be in training, whether that be in the dressing room, whether that be speaking to Caleb, who's only just come to the club, Wout, who's obviously a fantastic defender as well, and all the other boys as well. Listen, we're a really tight-knit group. We're a group who enjoy spending time together, and the boys understand what I bring, and they're fantastic with me as well, and they teach me things every day. So it's definitely something I try and do every single day when I'm on the training pitch and around Seagrave as well. And just finally, I guess all that work last season was for days like Saturday, right? Going to one of the top teams in England at the moment. Of course it is, and like I said, a lot of players in that dressing room have been to these stadiums before and understand it, and a lot of us have been there and won, and we've gone and had good days there, and to go there and get results is one of the best feelings in the world, and we've got to go there with that emphasis and that positive energy going there, and we'll make sure we do that, because like I said, we don't want to go and roll over and everything. Oh, we're playing Arsenal, and it's not like that. We need to go and show ourselves and prove ourselves and really put our game onto Arsenal as well.
Conor Coady there, speaking after the game with Walsall in the week, previewing the trip to the Emirates today. Quick word on the team news: he isn't in the starting 11. It's the same back four pretty much that we've seen all season in the Premier League from Steve Cooper. The midfield three, Ndidi, Skip and Winks in there. Mavididi and Buonanotte supporting Jamie Vardy. Conor Coady there, he always speaks really well, Matt, doesn't he? And actually it was a great line that he had to say about they're not going there to get their belly tickled, are they? They're going there to hold their heads up high and try and get something, try and get a result today.
No, that's right. He's said 100% spot on the right things there. He's not, getting carried away or overconfident by any stretch of the imagination, being realistic. But you've got to go down there, be aggressive, go and not set about Arsenal, but let them know that you're there for a contest, not be submissive, because if you do, they will just roll you over as the game goes on. But listen, we mentioned it already about the balance. You've got to, not just away. Leicester can't just settle for containment this season in general. Never mind just at the Emirates. Yes, there's going to be times you have to knuckle down, pull together, and you won't see the ball for long periods. But when you do,
man's got to get on it when they do, though, hasn't he?
Yeah, they've got to be brave at times, because if it's just a matter of sort of clearing your lines and pumping it forward, as good as Jamie Vardy is, he's up against two of the better centre halves you're going to find around, and it's going to be tough work for him. He needs quality delivery, quality balls in good areas. So there needs to be a little bit of a process before Leicester make advances. So Harry Winks, Oliver Skip in there. He's relatively experienced. He's brave enough to get on the ball. The problem is, if you dwell on the ball in the wrong areas, Arsenal can pressure you and nick it off you in dangerous areas. So, again, balance, catch-22 situations, but that's the fine lines and that's the levels you're talking about at the Premier League, especially at the top end.
Yeah, I really think the setup today, the discipline is very important. you know, like I said earlier, that we're not going to have the ball as much as Arsenal. We know that. But what I have seen with Steve Cooper at this moment, when we've not got the ball, we've had very good shape, and that's what it will be vital today. The fact that Coady's in and around the team, just listening to him, he's got enthusiasm, he's got the leadership skills, which I don't think that we have on that pitch at the moment. So, you know, him being in and around that dressing room now and slowly getting himself back into it is a plus point for Leicester. I think he was very unlucky with his that penalty decision. You know, obviously he stuck his leg out and against Crystal Palace late in the game, which would have got us our first 3 points. But, you know, obviously we're not expecting to get anything today, but anything from this game would be a massive bonus. And you look at the next 4 games, I was looking at that. We need 9 points out of them 4 or 5 games. We have to. Simple as that. We've got Ipswich, Southampton, Forest and Bournemouth. So I think we've got to get 9 points out of them 4 games. I think that's a must. It may be a bit too much, but we'll see. But you know, like I say, you can go here, sit tight, just don't get out of position, don't take any risks. You know, I don't want to see what I have noticed about our centre backs is Faz has not been bombing on as much as he used to do, and a little bit gun ho at times last year. That when teams countered us, we were in trouble. And I don't like seeing the back of my centre back running back towards goal and someone's in front of him. So Coady's come in and he looks assured. He's a young lad. He needs that older head by the side of him, I think. But I don't think he's got that right at the moment. Obviously, with Faz at the side of him, he's just not. The communication and the leadership isn't there between them two. But
there's a big onus on those two, isn't there?
Massive.
To get up when they can. Just to alleviate a bit of pressure. And don't just sit back and sink in.
Yeah.
Otherwise.
Yeah, no, it's like our relationship on the pitch, Matt. I mean, we understood each other where we went, and
just comes with games.
We never took any silly risks. We defended well. We were disciplined. We knew the lines that we had to be, and we covered each other all the time. I don't see it as much.
But that comes with they've played 5 games.
Of course it does. Exactly. And I like this Coady. What I've seen of him, I like him. He can play. But he needs, like a relationship that me and Matt had. He needs someone by the side of him with a bit of experience. And I suppose Faz is an international player, but does he talk to him? I don't see that he's covering him in the right way at times. And I think they're a little bit blindside looking when the ball's, where the man is, sometimes when there's corners and set pieces and the setup. But, we have been more disciplined. We have been better shape.
Let's talk attackers now. We've been talking defenders with Walshy and Matt. Let's go to one of those in position, actually, at the Emirates. Tony Cottee joins us. He's on co-commentary duty for us. Tony, great to speak to you. First time I've spoken to you all season. How are you getting on?
I'm good, thanks, Dan. Afternoon, Matt. Afternoon, Walshy.
TC.
Good to speak to you, boys.
Legend,
I've
TC.
missed you. I hope you've missed me as well.
Of course we do.
It's great down here, Dan. It's as we all know, it's a wonderful, wonderful stadium, and I'm sitting roughly in line with the 18-yard box and looking across at a fabulous pitch as well. So you certainly won't be looking down and blaming the pitch for anything this afternoon, that's for sure.
How much of Leicester have you watched so far this season, Tony? Obviously, it's a big game today, tough game against Arsenal. They'll be buoyed by the fact Man City have dropped points already in the early kick-off. So it'll be a tough game, obviously, for Leicester today.
Yeah, of course it will, Dan. I mean, it's the first time I've seen the boys live this season. Obviously, I've been watching from afar and watching the highlights and the goals, etc., and how Leicester have been getting on, as I always do. But for me, Dan, 2 things today. I think we need Arsenal to have an off day. I think that's the first thing, because we all know how good they are. They're going to push for the Premier League title this year. We just need them to have a bit of an off day. And secondly, and probably more importantly, I think Leicester have got to be well organised. They've got to be disciplined as a team. The boys have already touched on it. You've just got to get it right as a team and individually as well. That you need maybe just a little bit of magic from somewhere. I mean, if Leicester were to get a 0-0 draw and just kill the game off, I don't think anyone would be complaining about that, because it will be a fantastic point that might be crucial at the end of the season. So that's the 2 things for me. Arsenal off day and Leicester, they've got to be at it today.
Super Tone, it's Matthew here.
All right, Matt.
You're right, mate. First of all, well done for making the effort to get down to the Emirates today.
Yeah, bailing you out as usual,
place
Matt,
of
obviously,
me.
yeah.
I'm having a nice lazy time on the settee here. Much appreciated, son. But
You're welcome.
Yeah, no, you just mentioned a couple of points then. I think we all agree that you're correct on both fronts. But as well as that, Tony, Leicester have got to pose a threat in the game, haven't they? At stages at least, whether that be set pieces, whatever. But how do you see Buonanotte's role there on the right-hand side? I don't know how much you've seen of him, but what do you think he can bring to proceedings this afternoon in an attacking sense?
Well, he's got to do both jobs, Matt, hasn't he? He's got to defensively, he's certainly got to help out his fullback and make sure he does all what he needs to do defensively. But you're right, Matt, you can't, we all know through experience as ex-players that if you just come here, sit back, defend, don't try to get forward, eventually this Arsenal team will break you down. They are a very good team, so they've got to get the balance right, Leicester. Yeah, of course they've got to be organised and well drilled, etc. But there's got to be a threat going forward. And I'm thinking, I'm putting myself, if I'm in the position of Jamie Vardy as centre forward today, we know what Jamie will do. He'll lead the line. He'll try and play on the shoulder of two very, very good centre halves, as you've already mentioned, Matt. But he needs support. And Buonanotte and Mavididi in particular, they've got to get up. They've got to support Jamie Vardy. And I think probably as always in any game, the key battle really is going to be in midfield. And you look at Leicester with those three in midfield, Winks, Skip and Didi, against Declan Rice and Partey. So, hopefully it'll be 3 against 2. And if Leicester can boss the midfield, then you get your wingers further up the field to help Jamie Vardy out. So I think that's Buonanotte is going to be key today, but he's got to do both jobs.
Yeah, Tony, I was just the Everton game last week. I don't know if you saw most of it or any of it.
I saw the highlights. Yeah,
but there were 30 minutes into that game. We didn't create, I don't think, a shot on target. I watched it from the gallery where I work, and I was just looking at who is going to be the ones who can create the chances that when they do come that we can get. Looking at it.
Yeah, I think it's two different games, Walsh, isn't it? I mean, obviously at home to Everton, the onus is on Leicester, isn't it? You've got to take the game to them, and that would have been a disappointment. I think the lack of chances created early on in the game. I think when you come to Arsenal, Walsh, as you well know, of course we want to see Leicester create chances. It might just be a hoof clear and Jamie Vardy ball over the top who gets onto it. Or just as crucially, as we all know nowadays, set pieces are so vital as well. And Leicester, they've got to take their time with set pieces when they get them, if they get them, and get your corners and free kicks into the box. And a goal might come from the set pieces. So, yeah, of course, we want to see them creating lots of chances, Walshy. But it might not be one of those games. It might be a defend game and do what we've done in the past in the teams that we played in. We went to these big grounds, Arsenal's, Chelsea's, Man United's, Liverpool's. We knew what we had to do. You've got to get everything right. You might not create loads of chances, but when you do, there's one thing I do know, they've still got a top goal scorer up there, the number 9 for Leicester, who can put the chances away.
Yeah, agreed, Tony, yeah.
Tone, very last question, mate. Probably the most important one of the afternoon, but it's pretty standard these days. We get asked to mention it to whoever is at the game. It's one of the reasons that I'm disappointed I haven't made the trip to the Emirates, is I've missed out on the hospitality, mate. It's normally top notch, isn't it?
I knew that was coming, that question.
What have you been sampling, mate?
Well, I had a little bit of rice and some sea bass as well. It's very posh at Arsenal. You don't just get fish, you get sea bass. So it was very, very nice. Yeah, I did enjoy it, Matt. And I know you're probably gutted that you're not here, but you're just gutted you missed out on the food as always.
Yeah, have you shoved a few mozzarella and Parma ham rolls in your pockets, mate?
No, my name's not Matt Elliott. I don't need to do that. I'll have a nice coffee at half time, Matt.
He's had samosas, Tom. He's had samosas, the legendary Leicester samosas.
It doesn't surprise me, Walsh. It doesn't surprise me.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Tony.
Cheers,
great to speak to you. As ever, we'll hear from Tony Cottee, who is on co-commentary duty for us this afternoon then. Right, let's hear from the Leicester City manager next then, Steve Cooper, previewing his 6th game in charge in the league. Was asked if this is his biggest challenge yet.
Yeah, definitely. I think it would have been, even if the results and points had been different, it's we're coming up against an incredible team that have been in great form now for a number of years and have been really challenging and for Premier Leagues and cup competitions and and in other seasons they would have, certainly the league, the points they got, they would have won the league. So yeah, we're coming up against a really, really tough opponent in their home as well. But it's these games that you've really got to embrace. You've really got to sort of go in there with the anticipation of succeeding and not, fearing failure. And that's really what we want to do with our approach and back ourselves. And it couldn't be a better time to get the result that we're all craving for. So yeah, we really want to go for it.
You've experienced what it takes to beat a Mikel Arteta side when you were at Forest, albeit that was a home game, as you say. This one away makes it even tougher. How do you approach it? There's that old cliche of parking the bus. Is that the best way to approach it?
Well, for sure, everything our game has got to be right. There's no doubt about that. With the ball, without the ball, the game management, set pieces. They scored some very important goals from set pieces this year, as everybody has seen, and it's been well highlighted and documented. So every part of our game has to be close to perfect, if not perfect. So we appreciate that, including the mentality and the approach to the game and the belief. So with all of that in mind, we of course need to be very mindful of where our Arsenal strengths are, and there's a lot of them. But we've got to back ourselves to be able to deal with that. And have the impact in the game that we want with our way as well, and that's where we're at. And we like I said already, we've got to really believe in ourselves. We've got to back ourselves and go for it when the game comes.
Because of the kind of challenge that this will be and how the season's panned out so far for you, what defines success this weekend?
Well, the same, as a positive result and performance are always the main objectives of a game, but it's understanding how you achieve that, and like I said, it's of course studying the opponent, it's seeing where we feel we're at in terms of our game and which players are really performing in the way that we want, and then trying to pick the right team to fill them pieces in terms of putting that plan together. So that's the objective for every game, is to win and to play well, and it'll be no different. Hard, of course, really hard, the way Arsenal are at the moment, the way they've been for a couple of years. But as I said to Kirsty before, if we don't believe that we can go into these games and have success, then that's not the mentality that's going to help us achieve anything this season. So that's where we need to be.
Steve Cooper there, previewing the game with Arsenal this afternoon. Again, Walshy, similar to what we heard, I guess, from Conor Coady a little bit earlier. Nice to hear from him that it isn't a case of Leicester going there and praying and hoping and sitting back and doing nothing. And he says, no, we're going to be proactive. We're going to try and get something.
Yeah, he speaks very well. We met him, didn't we, Matt, about 3-4 weeks ago when the international break. And we watched them training. And as a coach, he's very, very good. So yeah, he's instilling that right mentality. You can see that. He's even said that, and he understands the enormity of his job this season. You look at the results, and they've not been far away. Okay, there's been a few first half in the game. We haven't quite started. We need to do that today. That is for sure. We've got to start right from that first whistle, because we've tended to play a lot better in the second half of games. And we could have had three more points, I think, looking at it through, I look at from the start, the Tottenham game, that second half, we could have turned that game round and won that game in the end. It was a backs against the wall for Tottenham in that second half. Villa, I thought we were a little bit unlucky there, but although they could have finished that game off, Everton again was poor. But look, I think like I say, he's organised. And this is where you need to be today. We've said it again, the discipline side of it, that is vital. Every player will need to know his role. And that's where I've seen a good organisation of the team this season. That's why we've not, conceded as many goals as what we could have done if we'd have played a different way like we had played last season. There's no way we could have done that. And I must admit, we've been in the games, we've been in them, and we've let one slip away from 3 points. So we're not far away from scrapping and fighting for points.
Yeah, and again, I mean, that word keeps sort of rearing its head again. It's the balance, isn't it? I think there's been a focus initially on, and rightly so, being solid, being compact, given Leicester a platform from which to hopefully build on, and that building is still going on at the moment. I think there's a lot of work going into, the attacking aspect, the creative side of things for Leicester City, but the primary objective, is to not go under, to stay in those games and not concede a hatful of goals and be open. So, transitioning from a solid defensive setup into a threatening attack is easier said than done, and probably no more difficult place to do it than at the Emirates. But it's a challenge that I don't think the lads will back down from. They'll be looking forward to it. I don't think they'll be going in there, with any massive apprehension. They'll be going down and facing the challenge and thinking, why can we not upset the apple cart a little bit and give it a go? And I think they've got enough about them to genuinely think that. Now, whether that transfers into their performance or not, you never quite know, because it's such a fine line. You against Arsenal, right? You could be one of their opponents. Man City could find themselves 2-3-0 down in the early stage of a game. Never mind Leicester City, but you hope to sort of hang in there a bit and let the game work itself out and cause a threat yourselves, and that would be the game plan. But whether they're able to carry out or not, it's another thing. You never quite know until the proof's in the pudding.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to be that kind of. There's not going to be too much creative work in this thing. When you think that Dewsbury Hall went, Maddison a couple of years, and them players obviously impact any team that they play for. But now we have to look at different ways of playing in a sense of being solid and being set up right and being a little bit more defensive. We have to be, because you've got to be very careful or you'll get found out in this league. And the
team surprise themselves. Well, sorry, going in there. If you do try and play, especially in the heart of midfield, that triangle that Leicester have got there, pop the ball around. If you get brave with a little bit of quality, you surprise yourself and you go, hang on a minute, we're having a bit of joy here. And suddenly you open them up, because they're not used to that.
And that's happened, Matt.
They bomb forward, against Arsenal, in previous times. So you can get joy, and from that you get confidence.
And we've got the threats. We've got the threats, definitely. Mavididi on his day is incredible. Obviously Vardy, we know, and he's still very sharp. I watch him, and there's things he does. That you're saying, he's getting a little bit older now. We understand that, but he's still got it. He's still sharp, and he'll finish. Give him the chances. Get the ball over. If you can we turn them? Can we push up and just be solid and be organised? I don't want to see Faz just going on a wild run somewhere and without any thought about it, because this is where we went wrong for me, and it just wasn't right at the back. And he's got to be. Faz has got to be a disciplined, fundamental defender from basic things of marking right, setting up right. You mark him, get everyone organised, and then we'll be okay. Because with their threats again will be from corners, which they really put them right in there, and they've got two big centre backs, Saliba and Gabriel, who come up, and the powerhouses. If we don't get that right, then we're going to become unstuck there. That's just one threat. And then you look at the Martinellis, you look at the Havertz, he'll chase everything down. So it's a difficult task today, don't get me wrong, but we've got to be in the right shape and the right discipline.
Yeah, speaking of the shape then, let's take a look at how Leicester and Arsenal line up for this clash, which is now, just over 15 minutes away. Mads Hermansen is in goal. Christiansen, Fass, Coady and Justin make up the back line. Winks, Skip and Ndidi will be the three in the middle of the park, with Mavididi and Facundo Buonanotte, the two wingers, supporting Jamie Vardy, who has 11 Premier League goals against the Gunners, including a winner in a 1-0 win down at the Emirates I think during the COVID season. From an Arsenal point of view, there were big question marks on their goalkeeper's fitness. David Raya, Mikel Arteta basically said he was a big doubt. He actually plays, he starts in goal. Calafiori, Gabriel, Saliba, as Walshy mentioned, that fantastic defensive duo are the two central defenders, with Timber at right back, Partey, Rice and Trossard in midfield with Martinelli and Bukayo Saka supporting Kai Havertz. Just seeing some shots from the Emirates now. Both sets of players have headed down the tunnel for their final chats with the manager and final build-up to this big Premier League game. Again, 15 minutes away now from kickoff. That means we're about to hand over to our commentary team. Before we do that, though, we couldn't have both Walshy and Matt on the sofa, could we, without taking a look back at a pretty famous moment in a fixture between Leicester and Arsenal, and a very famous Walshy equaliser.
Gary Parker has placed it. Walsh arrives. Yes! Yes! Would you believe it? Oh, it's 3-3. The captain Walsh. It's a match to drain the emotions. He won the header first of all. It came back from Spencer Pryor, and then a thumping header from Walsh.
A pretty special night. Phil,
still does me that. Still does me that. Yeah. It's
How many times do you watch
to
that?
watch back in
a week.
It's emotional, very emotional.
Yeah, especially the celebration.
Of course it was. There was a lot of meaning in that. But and Ian Wright, you know.
Leave it.
Yeah, let's leave it there. But no, special that was.
Yeah, a big evening.
Incredible.
It was a super tone at the far post, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's right.
Big evening as well, Matt, for yourself. We mentioned Dennis Bergkamp scoring a
don't
hat-trick.
remember. Oh, no.
We're not going to pull that up. We're going to pull this up for
That's
you.
the winner. What a shot.
That was 2. I thought that was job done.
Was that to make it 2-2, wasn't it?
That was about like the 90th minute.
It's incredible.
Well, she flicks it on as usual involved. Oh, nice little touch, little shimmy.
I did him as well.
Who's that? Lee Dixon, where's he go? Grimandi actually took a little deflection, which I think helped the goal, but I don't think Seymour would have got it anyway. But unfortunately, something else happened afterwards. But,
we've not got that.
But we were good
at
we were brilliant last minute goals that we scored. How many did we get? You know, through pure staying games and having the will to win.
Yeah. Hopefully, we see it today.
Yeah.
A 3-3.
Hopefully, it's not necessary.
A 3-3 would be nice today. A last-minute equaliser, a last-minute winner would also be great. But very, very quickly, Matt, final say before we hand over to the commentary team. Chance for Leicester today, obviously, isn't it? We know how good Arsenal are, but they can go there and they can really say something with a good result.
Of course you can.
A good performance.
Yeah, listen, it's all unknown, is it? You know, also you're talking about, you know, in our time we used to go and battle away at teams, but sometimes, you know, we gave a valiant account of ourselves. Other times we got turned over. Now, either of them are possible today for Leicester City going up against a quality side like Arsenal. They're capable of overrunning you, but you've got to go there and give it all you've got. Be confident, be brave as well, be organised, and don't come out of there wondering, if we'd really been at it, we might have nicked something today. But you've got to have belief in yourselves, because you know, a good performance alone and a tight result will, you know, still sort of aid confidence going along. You don't want to get turned over and trounced, because that doesn't obviously do anyone any good. But I think Leicester have got the capabilities of making it really tight, because they've shown the qualities. If
Saka and Martinelli are kept quiet today, because I think they're two key players, with Christensen especially on that side. He's got his hands full with Saka. Yeah. He's very, very important. But you never know.
You never know. Thank you very much, Walshy. Thank you very much, Matt. We'll hear from you again at half-time, and again, of course, at full-time. But it is indeed now time to hand you over to our commentary team down in North London. We've already heard Tony Cottee's voice. He'll be alongside Chris Parrott for this Premier League affair. Arsenal against Leicester. We've got full commentary coming up again next.